what a deal, what a deal. Hey guys, it's Jax, and I've got a problem. Now look, you guys, life on the road can be tough sometimes. More often than not. You've kind of followed some of my sojourns around the country. You've seen the ins and the outs, the people you deal with, the good and the bad. You know, we do our best to navigate all circumstances. But today, for the first time in my trucking career, I came into a situation that I could not navigate. And I had to just walk away. Walk away. I did. You know, we go out here, we're out here for hours on the road, a lot of solitude, just all by yourself, alone in your thoughts, lonely, away from the family, away from the ranch. So there's a few things out here that we find a little bit of joy in. Sometimes it can be a meal, sometimes it can be a hot shower, and today was my day to be a hot shower. However, and you guys, I don't have a whole lot of lines. Like, I don't have a lot of lines where I'm like, that's the line. Like, I'm pretty rednecky, hokey type. But when I went into my shower, I noticed something interesting. They did not have a toilet in the shower room. Which at first was like, oh, well, that's weird. And then I got to thinking, you know what? If there's no toilet in the shower room, there's a good chance that a lot of people that come in here may use the bathroom in the shower. So I thought I should do a little inspection. My inspection led to the finding of some, yes, it was not whiz. It was not number one. It was number two. On the floor. Not like a big old log on the floor, but some remnants. After the shower, I waited for it to get cleaned. So I packed my things back up in my bag, walked back up to the front desk, and bless their little hearts, they're the poor people that have to deal with this stuff. I said, I know you were in a haste to clean my shower, but I'm going to pass on the shower today. And she goes, oh. I said, do you want to guess why, or do you want me to just tell you? She goes, just lay it on me. I said, I found some number 2 on the floor. So I'm just going to clear out. Shower tomorrow. Is that cool? She was just mortified. And I'm like, I mean, I know you're mortified, but there's some trucker out there just dropping deuces in the shower. He's like, oh, there's no toilet in here. I'm just gonna deuce it on the floor. Those are the same people that are pooping in bags. Those are the same people that are filling up gallon jugs full of whiz and dropping them all over our highways. Those same truckers are the ones that are pooping in the shower. I even considered showering in my socks for a minute, but then I reclaimed my humanity. I was like, no. We're not doing that. Let's just jump back on the Wild Wild West train and ride west. I always like to take advantage of a closed scale. Isn't it weird how video screens do that? Like, the scale readout is not doing that. It's reading normal weights. But that's what my camera shows you. Looks like a mumbo jumbo. 13,000 on my steers, 35 on my drives, 31 on my spread. So just a wee tick heavy. I'm under 80,000 gross, but this turkey meal ended up being a little bit, it was hard to get enough weight on the back of my trailer, so I'm just a touch heavy on my truck. But if I get in a bind somewhere, remember since I'm under 80,000 gross, which is the max legal allowed out here, I can put my lift axle down. But I hate to run that extra axle that you can see on my truck all the time. I hate to run that down, especially in states like this where it's so rough and so hard on those axles. I just as soon keep it preserved and happy and lifted. See, look right there. Whoa, no, that's just some debris. I thought that was a man-eater. You know, you get to a point where it's just so many patches. I'll try to capture some of this goodness for you and see if the camera, I don't know if the camera will quite give you a real feel of what it's like in here, but we'll see. Did you hear that one? Here's another bridge. Hang on. That side wasn't horrible. Oh! You hear that bang? You guys, that's all my suspension, my shocks, my airbags, my tires. Boom, boom. All day, every day. Welcome, Center. Welcome to our roads. Oh, man. And I tell you what, I think some of you truckers that run this might agree. I think once you get west of Indy, it gets a whole new breed of worseness. Worseness. A whole new breed of horrors. I feel like from here to Indy's like, yeah, and then you get the other side of there and it's like, oh, boys. Whoo. The other I think the worst is when you have concrete patches in asphalt when they do the combination. In a car, car suspensions are so much more fine-tuned. I think it disguises somewhat the actual condition of the road surface. Sorry, I'm getting the giggles now. Oh, when you sit in a truck and drive across, you feel it and you hear it. This is why old truckers, they're all like, you meet an old trucker, he's all broke down and his back's out and his knees are shot. It's like, well, especially back in those days when trucks weren't quite as comfortable. But anyway, hey, look, road construction ahead. That's a good sign, huh? That's probably enough bridge banging for this episode, but you catch my drift. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm talking about, right? I've told you what I think some of the states that have the biggest struggles with their roads. Let me tell you which state, in my mind, and it's a surprising state. I think it's going to surprise you, but a state that I feel like is, no question, does the greatest job of all the states in the lower 48 that I know of in keeping their freeway, and maybe that's part of why they have a freeway in great shape, is South Dakota. South Dakota, they were a little late to the party. Their freeways were really, really bad back in the 80s and 90s. And then kind of mid-90s, they made this huge push and they rebuilt their freeway. And they've been keeping it very well maintained. Every year across I-90 in South Dakota, there's at least, I would say, 40 miles total cumulative worth of freeway being tore out and completely rebuilt. They'll just route all the traffic from one side of the freeway over to the other, single file. That's just the way it is. So they have the whole entire side of the freeway shut down, just completely rebuilding it. And they get it done in good shape. They only have like 3 months or 4 months out there to do all that stuff. And they get it rebuilt, then they reopen it by fall, and you start hauling cattle across there, and you're just like, I love it. But they're great. They do it every year. If you're ever driving through a state, if you drive through an entire state and they don't in the summertime have a massive stretch of freeway being completely rebuilt, it's a good sign that they are struggling with their freeway plan. Okay, that's what as you're out and about this summer, you watch any stretch of freeway you're on, cruising across the state, you should encounter a large 20, 30, 40 miles worth of complete freeway rebuilding going on. If not, shame on them. Till next time. Bow! 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 Do you hear that? It is 8 a.m. Central Time, and it's this dark. Oh man. So I'm in Kansas City, Kansas side. Oh, and flashes of lightning. I got in here at, I don't know, it was pretty late. got in here, it was pretty late. Slept for about 2 hours, and then just was awakened to just unbelievable thunder. You know, we get thunder and lightning in Montana, or we used to, at least back when it rained. And, get some decent cracks, but I forgot how, like, whole body consuming, like, these thunderclaps out here could be. Especially, I opened both my sleeper doors just to get some airflow last night, and so when it hit, it was like, whoa, what's going on? Shut my doors, just started pouring rain. You've experienced rainstorms before. I don't need to describe it, but one of those rainstorms is raining so hard, you just kind of hold your hand out expecting your roof to just start leaking somehow, because it's pounding so hard on the roof of your truck that you're like, it's going to just start coming in at some point here. Oh, that was kind of the end of my good sleeping, but it's just dark, still dark. Flood advisories now out, and for lowland flooding, and I'm trying to enjoy it, although it's just making me more sad than anything, I think, because it's so dry at home. We've it's green. You've seen some of the previous videos from branding and whatnot. It's like it's green, but it's just this deep. It's like all these areas around us, thank goodness and bless their hearts, and they've been going through all the same problem out in eastern Montana, and the Dakotas. They've all been going through the drought together, but it's so hard to watch everyone get all this heavy moisture and then just be like, and so far, we're okay at the moment. Everything we're getting enough little showers that it's keeping that surface stuff growing. But once the spring rains quit, then those plants will draw on that deeper moisture that usually we get set in. Usually we get like a 2, 3, 4 inch where it sets in for a week, and it's just a real rainy week, and it just keeps driving that moisture deeper and deeper and deeper. And we haven't had that in I don't know, probably 3 years now. After 15, 16 years of having it every spring and just always having that as part of our spring, you can just count on it. I better make sure hold on, I'm shutting my little screens, y'all. If I don't, that one, the wind's blowing there. Sorry. It's just driving in sideways now. I figured I better. Anyway, we became so accustomed to those that's what, as June would come and it would get hotter and the rains would become less reliable and you're more waiting around for big thunderstorms and such in June. All those plants would draw on that deep moisture that we'd always get. But we just haven't got it. So I'm still optimistic, and we still hold that hope, but as each week passes by through the spring, that we don't get that one that I'm talking about, the hope just gets just a little dimmer, because yes, you can get these miracle freak half-inch downpours in the middle of summertime, but they're much more rare than the typical springtime is your wet season. This is when you're going to get moisture. So each week that we get further away from the spring core and closer to the summer's edge, you lose just a little bit of hope that the drought is going to break this year. It's been a nice reprieve getting these showers, and the grass is green and it's growing, and it's like, okay, at least we get 6 weeks of the grass is growing at least. But the big question when I get home from this round is going to be, what is happening with the hay? Is it going to be able to grow once it gets hot? And that's another thing temperature wise, it's been real cold, you guys. It's been in the 40s to 60s at home. We haven't had any heat yet, which normally is bad for your hay, but in this case, since it's so dry, it's kind of keeping things from burning up quicker. So I don't know. I get out here on the road and I kind of, when you're away from it, you kind of forget somewhat. You know, you're driving through rainstorms out here and you're like, oh yeah, the rain, everybody gets rain and everything's green. And then you get back towards home and you're like, okay, we're still in the middle of this thing. But there'll be a lot more to come on that. I'll probably go out when I get home and kind of do an on-site evaluation and check out some different fields and places around the ranch and see how things are looking compared to last year and just where we're at, and keeping our fingers crossed. We had a big storm system this weekend while I was gone. It was supposed to drop maybe an inch of rain, turned into maybe 1/10 of an inch versus an inch. They're talking again maybe this coming weekend again, but you just don't know. You're thankful for every little drop you've got to make the grass grow at least. But we'll see what shakes. This is like the round of hiding under my trailer everywhere I go. Man, that scale is just waterlogged. So they're pumping water out of it, but I think it died. So, there's a truck stop nearby I think we have to go scale out at. Thankfully, I'm scaled in already. And I just got some good news. My reload is out of the same facility. So I'm unloading here and then I'm reloading here to blast across to Utah. So anyway, and that'll probably wrap me up. And then from Utah, I think I'll probably bomb up home. But man, you guys, it is raining. I'm gonna make the run from here to my cab. Ready? Come on, little clippers. Clip, clip, clip. They make you seal these loads when you leave after you load. Sometimes they can be a little gnarlish. Getting them out. Like a little Jack Russell Terrier. There we go. There we go. And then one more. Okay, this place has they're very camera friendly. Now here's the problem with this bay. This bay was built for little trucks back in the day. So, show you back here real quick. Check it out. So you gotta back all the way back in. Whoop, right? So it's super tight. And then here's the trap to unload into. However, my trailer's so long, my product's gonna start dumping out here. And only the back little portion of my trap is actually gonna fall in here. You know what that means? It means that this old trucking dog is gonna have to do some shoveling, which is okay. I don't mind that because I've been sitting. Get it? Sitting. All right, that's wide open. Come on, little product. See how it's... Got a little trick for that. Ready for it? It's gonna get loud. Show you this real quick. So, just a little something for you to learn about hopper trailers. This is an air system. It's gonna get loud. This is a handle to run the vibrator. So, we open it up. really loud, they're really effective. And it just runs off of the air supplied from my semi. So, would not want to pull a hopper without a vibrator on it. They help a lot. They help a lot when that product. Oh man, so this is just gonna be one of those unloads where you gotta just forget about trying to be in a hurry. You gotta just settle in, just relax. I'm at a dog food place here in Ogden, Utah, and it's just it's gonna be a slow ride. The material, it's just hot enough that it's just hot in the hopper and it's kind of sticking together, and it's gonna be a lot of shoveling, but like I said, gives an old trucker a lot of good exercise, so whatever. Wish me luck. Okay, we're halfway done. We got the front hopper finished. Now we gotta get this back one. One of the biggest problems with this meal, any of these meals that we haul, I don't mean like meal, I mean like meal. Problem is bridging, we call it bridging. So look at these grates right here. Like here's a big pile on the grate, right? So it looks like it's still waiting to suck it down through the grate. When in reality, if you take this little stick, and start poking it, you'll see that it's actually just bridged. See that? It's just sitting on top of the grate. And it'll all fall through once you start poking the bear. See that? Hey. Yep. That was a bad example. I didn't even get it in the footage. So you see this here, you hit it and it just falls through the grate. It's just sitting, it's bridged. It's such a thick meal that sticks together. See how now it's going through there? It's just hanging up. So it's kind of a load. These meal loads are ones that just require a lot of finesse, a lot of care. Oh, we're almost done. So this is what you're dealing with. This is kind of what you gotta sweep out, clean out. Stuff's just a little too sticky to slide. So I gotta sweep, sweep, sweep. Sweep, 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 sweep your booty. And all this. Down the grate. And then we're out of here. On to one more load before we bust it home and wrap this deal up. Guys, I'm starting to have the feels. Starting to have those nostalgic stirrings. I'll tell you why in a second. First of all, how nice is it to be done hauling meal? Man, 2 loads of meal in a row. Feather meal, and then it was feather meal, and then turkey meal. It's like, okay, I've had enough meal just because of that stuff you saw in that video, the previous clips. It just comes out so slowly, so hard, and it just bridges and hangs up, and it's just a game of patience. You just gotta, when you think of like a hopper and you're like, oh, I'm hauling grain, you dump the grain out, as quick as the auger can take it, it'll go. And this is like a whole different, it's like, nope, you just sit there and smile, stroke your beard, try to keep up with your YouTube comments there. You saw that on that thing. You probably saw me keeping an eye. I was there for 2.5 hours, by the way, if you were wondering like why I was on my phone while I was unloading. You fill that trap underneath the truck, you fill it full, and then that's it. Then you sit there for 15 minutes while it clears what's in there, and then you anyway, so that's done. I ended up going from there. Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to get set up, you guys, so be a little patient. I'm trying to get set up a little better where I can document what's going on the road to be able to kind of illustrate my travel. I show when I load or when I'm unloading as much as I can, and then I might drive 500 or 600 miles, and I'm working on it, and I'll get it squared away, but it's hard to accurately show you, because you like to see the country and the roads, but it's hard to accurately give you a good portrayal of that journey from point to point right now, because I usually end up opening my phone and try to just video some clips, and if there's some really cool stuff to see, I'll try to actually make a nice video. But I need to get some mounts and stuff, but I'm trying to get a GoPro rigged up where I can just have one in the window and just video lapse it, so between loads we can always rely on some good solid video lapse so you can see the roads and then the different just areas and whatever to help illustrate that. I didn't do a good job on this episode of filming between. I went coast to coast and back basically, and there's not a lot of in between destination footage, and I apologize for that, but I'm getting it rigged up so that in the future these road adventures will be just easier to document without quite so much labor intensity, right? So anyway, from Utah I kicked up to Montana last night, and I went to, you remember the canola place, right? Where I got the canola screenings last summer. I got that load to try to help get the cattle through the drought. Well, they called me up last week and they're like, "Are you needing some screenings?" And of course, yes. And I'm going to do a video when I get back. I got to keep going here. But as soon as I get back from the road here in another handful of days, I'm going to go out and you and I together, we're going to go out and see what's going on out there in the fields. See if this moisture. In fact, let me show you. You can see it's green and beautiful, right? Like it looks good. And as I've mentioned before a time or two, it's just kind of surface deep. We haven't had a good soaker yet. All this will very quickly go away if it gets hot. Thankfully, it's not hot, but it's hard to grow hay when the weather's cool. But if you don't have moisture and it gets hot, it's also hard to grow hay, right? So anyway, this is kind of how things look right now. But when I get back, I'm gonna go do a flatbed load. We're gonna take a cab over out. You're gonna get a kick out of that. I'm gonna introduce you to the blue cab over and see what kind of adventures await with that truck, because I haven't had it on the road ever yet. This will be the maiden voyage. But anyway, back to the point. We're gonna go out to the fields. We'll check things out, kind of analyze what's going on, and by then we should be able to have kind of an idea if it's looking like we're going to make hay or if we're going to be falling by the wayside. But when those guys offered canola screenings, I jumped at the chance again, because we'll use it even if we end up with a good hay year. Anytime we can get that product, I think we're going to incorporate it in the future moving on, just to help save hay. The more of that we can feed and supplement, the less hay that you have to feed your cows. So anyway, I kicked up there and I loaded that, and I did not have the chance to document it because I'm in an incredible hurry. My schedule today is just outrageously tight. I got to get home. This is where the nostalgia's kicking in. This is my last trip over the hill with this truck. Cody's taking over. He's going to come start driving, add a add another layer, another dimension to the business here, and he's the top hand. You've seen him in previous videos hauling hay with me, and he is as good of a trucker as you will ever find in the United States. And I mean that because he's so capable. Not just a good driver. The guy he carries enough tools and spare parts to overcome about any situation on the road, except for maybe a catastrophic failure. So really happy to have him come around, and we'll do more with that later, him and I. But anyway, so this is my last trip in this truck. I have really come to love this truck, and it's treated me well. It's been very efficient. We have a good circular symbiotic relationship with each other, and getting out of it's gonna be not tough, but you know, moving on. I'll get another truck set up for me, but it's a truck that I trust. It's very efficient. It's great. It's got a lot of amenities in it that are very beneficial to having an employee use, and an employee like Cody will treat it as well, or in reality probably even a little bit better than I have. So anyway, this is it. He's taking over on Sunday. He's leaving on his first run, so he'll be taking the hopper in this truck, and I'll be moving on, which means different content for you guys, different trucks, different deals. We'll get into that as time goes on. I'll keep you apprised as to what I end up in and what I'm doing. But we're gonna go to the ranch. I loaded these screenings. Remember last time I loaded it in my walking floor trailer, if you remember that. Some of you may not have seen that video. If not, you can go dig it up. But anyway, I loaded all those screenings in my walking floor. I did not use the walking floor this time because I was going through the town where we get these canola screenings from on my way home from Utah anyway. So I thought, well, let's put them in the hopper. Might have a hard time getting them out. We'll see. They may come out kind of like that canola, or that turkey meal did that you just watched. Hopefully not, but we got to get a little creative. We're not quite set up at the ranch yet. We don't have a good auger, just because we haven't had a need for one. Something on my to-do list. So you'll see when we unload upcoming here, it's going to be a little different setup. You're going to probably scratch your head and go, "There's a much better way, boys, to do that." You know, yes, I know there is a better way, and I plan on getting there. I just don't have the time quite yet, and didn't plan on getting product coming quite so quick. So here it is. We'll figure out a way to get it off. I've got to get it unloaded. I've got to get this truck cleared out, cleaned out. I've got to change a tire on my flatbed. Got to do some other stuff. Got to run to town and grab the blue truck. I had it at the mechanic shop, getting a few things done to it before I take it out. Come home, get hooked up, get cleaned up, get moved into that truck, and get on the road all before dark, because I have to be in South Dakota by morning time, and on to the next deal. So rock and roll, hammer time. It's just the way things go. That is life. So let's keep on rocking.